Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to another MatchDay ticket. A little bit earlier than normal, so we're on the coffee first and foremost, Daniel, not the Fosters. I won't drink Fosters anyway, but not on the pints yet. But we do hope there are pints and points incoming. First of all, let's just start by wishing Alan Judge and his family all the best. For those who haven't heard, he's not in the team today due to a family bereavement. So my thoughts and my prayers are with Alan today. Moving on to today's game, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Paul Cook chapter looks like, what the Paul Cook ethos, mentality and style of play is. We've heard lots of good things over the course of the week from Wigan and Portsmouth fans. So I started the week not for me, and I'm hoping to end it deliriously for me. First and foremost, before I welcome in my contributors, a huge thank you to all of those that do contribute to the channel. You do help us in making it what it has been. And this week has been a phenomenal week in terms of numbers and also content. Started the week with Matt Slater breaking the news on offers on the table and the inside on the takeover. And we're hopefully finishing it off with 3 points. First of all, I'm going to welcome in a guy who is making the appearance total figure needed for an intro. So from here on out, he will have an introduction. He's, of course, our resident peaky blinder, Mark Tuxford. Mark, welcome in, my man. How you doing?
Hello, mate. You right?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, I'm excited to see what today holds. What are you excited to see what a Paul Cook era will get off like?
Yes. Obviously, it's the first game that he's going to be taking charge of properly. So it'll be really exciting to see what kind of effect he's had in training this week. Obviously, the videos and the pictures that the club has sent out this week looks really positive, and obviously his first press conference was really good as well. So, yeah, really looking forward to today. Yeah,
really upbeat, really sort of down to earth. Another chap, be like Andy Holt, we had on the show a couple of week or so ago. Quite, it feels like months ago now, but only a week or so ago. Sort of guy you'd have a pint with, you know, sit down, have a chat, and you could get on well with. I think Mick McCarthy was a bit like that. Paul Lambert, a bit like Marmite, wasn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, Lambert towards the end, obviously, you know, not a lot of people really favoured him. I think he made a rod for his own back in the end, unfortunately. Obviously, with the TalkSport interview and falling out sort of with Marcus Evans in a way as well. So, but yeah, no, it's you know, onwards and upwards from here. Looking forward to Paul Cook. So yeah.
Absolutely. Joe Dickerson is the happiest he's felt as a Town fan, probably since Joe Royal days. Ben King with £2. Thank you so much, Ben. We appreciate it, my friend. I hope you are well. Let's bring in our third contributor. He is, of course, Milk Tray Man. Ben, welcome in, my man. Before I offer it over to yourself, yes, I just want to send our thoughts and our prayers to Grant and his family. Grant Cross, who I'm reading in the chat, has sadly passed away.
Yeah, long-term supporter. Yeah, rest in peace, mate.
So our thoughts and prayers are to you. Ben, welcome in. As I was discussing there with Peaky, Paul Cook's, and he said Lee Cook, nearly the first slip. Paul Cook's first game in charge. It's coming at some point this afternoon. You know it is. Are you excited? What are you expecting from this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm excited. I like the fact that, you know, it's an unchanged team, and the difficulty for a new manager, maybe there's a lot of ease when you come in and the team is losing, and then you can fiddle about a bit. You've got a bit of space. But he's actually coming into a team that's on a bit of form. And I do like the fact that the only change that seems to have happened is one that has been enforced. It's regarding Alan Judge, and you know, a sort of condolences to Alan Judge, and we hope the guy's okay. So only one change. I like the fact he hasn't tinkered with a team that's winning. And yeah, looking at the training videos this week, I was looking at all the players. They seemed happy, engaged. Happy to see Jackson on the bench. Maybe he can play a part today. Yeah, feeling good. Good.
I remember very similar videos though, Ben, when Lambert took charge, Lambert and Taylor on the training ground, and it all looked rather positive and good, and we all were happy. It's where it's on the pitch where it will count, and that starts this afternoon. And and Peaky, as Ben says there, it's difficult. It's a bit, and Paul Cook said himself, it's a bit of a strange situation because normally you come in and you sit in away from where the club should be on a run of defeats. Everything is down in the dumps, and it's a siege mentality. Us against the world, and anywhere is up. Here is a bit different. He's coming in off back of very good performances, good results, and a defeat could really sort of dampen the mood a little bit, couldn't it?
I mean, ultimately, we're still not where we want to be. So
100%.
Paul Cook's coming for a reason. So at the end of the day, Paul, as I said before, Paul Lambert's made a run for his own back in the end, and Paul Cook has come in with some positivity and a bit of guard about him. And you can tell by the way he's sort of delivering the press conferences and stuff like that. He just really wants to get started now and just get to work and work with these players and see what we can do.
What stood out for you from the press conferences this week, particularly when you watched it? What really stood out to you?
I think it was just his, positivity. Really, I think the last few weeks, few months as well. Paul Lambert's been so disillusioned and depressed about everything, and as our fans, but at the same time, this is meant to be the guy who's meant to be managing the club. He's meant to be the spokesperson of the club as well. And when he's coming out giving like half-hearted interviews or not even turning up for an interview, you think, well, is he really that bothered? And ultimately, I don't think he was that bothered in the end. I think he was looking for a way out, and that's what happened. But that's the difference with Paul Cook. He's come in with a bit of positivity. He just wants to get the ground running and just keep going.
I think I pinched one of your lines on this week's show, and I do apologise. I didn't give you credit, but I think it was yourself. It may be wrong, that said it was very poignant the way he bowed out. I think you tweeted it. It was about the beer situation where his last words as Town fans was, "I'm going for a beer."
Yeah.
It's quite a moment, isn't it? And do you think he knew at that? But I think he knew at that point that was whatever's going on in the takeover in the boardroom. That's irrelevant. But I think he knew that was it.
Yeah, I think Paul Lambert he knows more than he's letting on, and I think Paul Cook actually knows more than he's letting on as well.
100%.
But, whether it's NDAs or whatever else it is, they can't divulge that information just yet. And fair enough, that's fine. I'd rather hear about it once it's all done and dusted. But fingers crossed, because that's what we need. Marcus Evans needs to step aside now, and we have to have like a proper takeover and a proper plan of what we're doing for the future.
100%. Ben, same question to you, really. What jumped out to you watching Paul Cook this week and the press conference?
I think there's a natural solidarity and optimism that happens when a new manager comes in, just because it's the unknown. And unfortunately, before, it was the known that made us all depressed. We knew that the press conferences were going to be kind of snidey if he even turns up. That bit about having a beer, I don't know. Maybe you can be an ultra cynic and say that was a swipe at Blue Action when I said time's up at the bar. So he could have said, I'm going to go have a beer then. Yeah. So maybe there's that side of it. But I think, it was poignant. And look, he wasn't right for the club. And I want to echo something I think it was Chris Rand said in the comments. Based on what supporters of Cook's previous clubs are saying, I think this is the most optimistic I've felt since Burley took over. And that's right, because it's every single person that you speak to who's had Paul Cook as their manager, the same things keep being said. He's a unifying force. He's optimistic. He's clever. He's good. He's a good man manager. All the crowds loved him. And I feel really lucky that we've actually got him. He turned down bigger clubs than us to come and do this. And that's the single thing which makes me think that this takeover, because just before things like this happen, they usually go dead quiet. And we're in that period right now. All the talk on the takeovers just disappeared. That's usually when something's going to happen, I think. But I don't think Paul Cook would have come down a division if Marcus said, look, I'm probably going to be here next year. And guess what? You've got zero funds.
Yeah.
Why would he?
Well, this is it. But until the ink's dry, anything is obviously
Absolutely
in play.
right.
And as a man, you've got to know that. And he's not silly enough or naive enough to. How do you feel about this one, Tux? Stephen Parry. No, Paul Cook has a free pass this season regardless. Does he have a free pass from you?
I don't think he has a free pass. I think he's going to have time, obviously, to get it right. And, ultimately, if we don't get promotion or if we don't finish in the playoffs, it's not going to be as bad as it was if Lambert was still in charge. But ultimately, we still have a squad there. We're still in a good position at the moment where we can put a run together and a few wins, starting with today as well. And hopefully get into that playoff spot and at least get in the playoffs, because this is, from the start of the season, everyone was expecting playoffs, and that's not changed for me.
How about you, Ben? Because for me, he hasn't got a free pass, and yes, he hasn't got long, but he's got 16 games, and I've heard a long time about his squad being better than what Lambert could get out of it. So if it is, we should be in the top six minimum.
We should do, I agree. But what we don't want to do is be Paul Hursting him if the results don't quite go our way. We are on a run of good form, but that started before he got here. Now, don't get me wrong. If we're going to go and lose the next 7 games, okay, then we're going to ask questions. Of course we are. But for me, you have to give new managers time. Now, we didn't give Paul Hurst time, and there's now quite a vocal movement to say that we should have, because he's done no worse than what Lambert did. We gave him. I thought he wasn't here long enough. And let's face it, we should have rolled the dice, because if we didn't know where they've ended up, well, how could he do any worse? With Paul Cook, I think it's different. And again, there was a little great comment that just popped up. Julian Hughes, golf coach. Was that it? No. Sorry. Something about having real, tangible success very recently.
It's on the screen. Ashley Bell.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
this is a manager that's had real
success. Absolutely right. It's right here. He's just had it. He's right in the game. He has the contacts. His skills are sharpened. He's not living off something he done a decade ago with a squad which was fantastic with a Christ load of money. Yeah, he's done it with difficult teams. He's done it out of this division, and I think we're lucky to have him. How much time he has, I don't know. I think if Evans is still here, I think in 16 months' time, which is usually the countdown, everyone will be screaming for his head. But I hope that doesn't happen. And I've got faith in this one. Something just feels right.
But that's why these takeover rumours, Tux, have really sort of grown, because Paul Cook was the only man mentioned in the takeover articles early doors. Well, who's now the manager? Paul Cook. And it doesn't feel like a Marcus Evans appointment. He claimed he'd been tracking him for years, but I don't remember his name being linked or interviewed when Paul Hurst was. Whether he had a job or not, Paul Hurst had a job. We still went after him. So I don't personally believe that. It might be true, but I don't believe it. It doesn't feel like an Evans appointment. The arrow's pointing up, not down.
Yeah, I think there's bits and pieces that I've heard in the media where they've been like long-time friends and stuff like that, and whatever else. And Harry Redknapp was long-time friends with Marcus Evans, but we've never seen him come here. So it's we just have to see, really. But I mean, in terms of the appointment, is it a Marcus Evans? I think it is, but I think the new owners are overseeing this. You've got to remember that Marcus Evans isn't walking away completely. He's still going to have some sort of say in it, whether it be, albeit a little one, but at the same time, he's got some sort of say there. So I just think that the new owners will potentially sort of over his head, just sort of guiding that process a little bit.
Absolutely. Russell Clayton, people shouldn't expect too much today. Paul Cook has only had 1.5 training sessions.
Very true.
All one.
Very true.
Well, then just leave it, which is kind of what he has done.
Which is what he's done. Yeah, he's done. The first decision he had to make was, do I change a winning team? And he hasn't done it. So as far as decision making, for me, he's on 100% so far, because the worst thing he could have done in there is then gone and dropped 3 or 4 players out, puts his own ideas in, and we thought, oh my God, what's happening? We're rolling the dice again. He hasn't. He's actually done more by doing less. And I like that start.
He's got to be. He's got to keep it sort of consistent, and obviously the 3 games prior to him coming in, they were winnable games, and we've won them. But at the same time, he's come in. He's now got to do better than that, or at least match it. So it's difficult for him to come in and do that, but he's just got to keep that ball rolling, really.
Absolutely, yeah. And, obviously we sat down during the week, Ben, with Lewis, and we spoke about mental health within the game of football. And part of that is competition at every place. And, Harrop comes in today in really unfortunate circumstances. But for Josh Harrop, this is a moment to really grasp, isn't it? And take the opportunity, take the ball by the horns and give Paul Cook an even bigger headache.
Yeah, give him something to think about. Totally agree. This could be his chance to actually come in and really do it. And I've liked him when he's come on. I wouldn't say he's set the world alight or anything. Perhaps he hasn't been, it's very hard to come in and look fantastic when the team's already actually doing quite good. I would say my concern is probably more with Matheson. Now, I'm just noticing he's not on the bench, is he? So he's another young kid who's kind of gone across the country, and he played a couple of games and I think looked really, really good. So I'm really wondering, what part does he have to play? Because his club are going to be wanting him to put minutes on the pitch. Of course, the alternative argument is you can't start screwing around with a team that's winning and not conceding goals. Who would you swap him in for? And I can't believe I'm saying this, but even Chambers is playing okay at the moment. But I think, Chambers' strength is the vocal, it's the leadership, it's the talking to Toto, it's the talking to Wilson, it's talking to Bishop and Bennett and putting them in their positions. That's what he's good at. So would you want to disrupt something that is finally working? The answer would be no. So, yeah, really interesting. But I think you're quite right about Harrop. Really fascinating to see what he does today. But I think it's Parrott's day. I think we're going to see that goal today. It's been coming and coming and coming and coming. And I think he had a great game because he partners Norwood, I think, really well. They complement each other. I just think if I had to put my mortgage on it, it would be Parrott. It would be Parrott to score today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, by the way.
I think you are right, though. I think Ben's right there about Matheson a little bit. I'm more worried about the relationships in football. You build relationships, particularly when you're a third-tier club. I don't know what Wolves will think. I don't know what Arsenal are thinking. If I was Arsenal and their loan manager, I would not be looking at Ipswich Town next season if I had a promising striker, midfielder, any position, because we're not looking after Mark McGuinness. He's not getting minutes. He's not developing.
No.
Does that play into the whole strategic lack of plan? Because we always talk about Evans having a lack of plan, and it filters down through the club in terms of recruitment, etc. Are we seeing that play out now with the fact that Matheson and McGuinness both can't get a game? Mark,
I think with the loans, I think that these players have played, especially McGuinness. He's played, he's scored, he's kept clean sheets and stuff like that. But there's mistakes been in there, and you can only keep your place in the team if you're playing well. And at that point when he was in the team, we weren't playing that well. So changes will be made. And Toto's come in, Wilson's come in, and those two are keeping the likes of Wolfenden, McGuinness, and obviously Matheson out of the team at the moment. So really, it's those players that are in there at the moment that deserve to be there, and they shouldn't be coming out unless there's some sort of like fitness issue or whatever else. But really, keep the shirt if you're playing well. It's as simple as that. And that's what Paul Cooker's got to look at now, and not do too much, because what Paul Hurst came in and did was that he changed too much, got rid of people. And I think he's actually coming in at a really, really good time, because he can't make any transfers. He's got to work with what he's got. So with Paul Hurst, his first thing that he had to do was I'll look at the squad. If I don't want people, I'll get rid of them, or I'll get people coming in. And that's the effect that you have with a summer. It can actually be quite good, but also quite detrimental.
The same with the January window as well. In fact, even more detrimental with January windows, because you're almost panic buying, and and this is what I've been saying most of the season when I was hesitant about removing Lambert, because obviously in the summer, 15 players out of contract, transition, blank bit of paper, whoever's been charged, great. What you didn't want in January was, say, 32-year-olds coming in, impressing for 3 months, and then winning a 2-year contract, and then their play just goes, pa-choom. We've seen that enough times at Portman Road. Thankfully, we're past that stage, and as Tuck says, we can't have it. Mike D says Sunday League want Drennan back. Carl Brooks, equally, you have to do what's best for the club, which is what you were saying here, Mark. We're on a good run. We shouldn't change the team for the sake of giving loan players minutes. And that's right. It's about our club, not Wolves or Arsenal or whoever. Brandon's asked a couple of times. I want to get the question in. I appreciate you writing it, Brandon. Who'd miss out if Judge was there? So if Judge was available, who would be missing out from, you'd imagine, the bench? So, you could throw Harrop on there, but who would be missing? I think it would be Sears, personally. I'll just say that. Because everybody else...
No. Do you want to be getting rid of your Ford Fiesta when you got all your supercars out working? No, because what if they all break down? You need that Ford Fiesta there. It's reliable. He's always going to run for you.
Mine was a Yaris. Lovely gold Yaris.
Beautiful Lord, it was. Man. Good Lord. Who would miss out? That is such a great question. I don't know. I think perhaps... I don't know.
Everyone's saying Sears.
Yeah, I'd say Sears. I just don't think he gives that much anymore. He'll come on and, chase the ball down and stuff like that. But I just don't think it kind of suits him anymore. Like he's not... If he plays up front, he needs a striker alongside him. It's a bit like Jackson. But he can't play up front on his own. And he's just been shunted out wide for the best part of his Ipswich career. So... really, I think at the end of the season, he probably needs to sort of find pastures new. I think
I do appreciate what he does. He doesn't bring much, Sears, but he comes on at the end of the game and his instructions run yourself until you throw up. Just run at defenders, run the wings. He's like a little yappy dog. Like, doesn't actually do anything or go anywhere. He just runs and runs and runs. And when you're trying to push the ball further up the pitch, I do think he is an outlet. Yes, okay, he doesn't do anything with the outlet, but the very fact that he will always run and run and run, that's not a bad thing to have in a game of football when you're trying to kind of bring on an 80th minute sub and run out a bit of time and sort of run at weary defenders. Granted, that's about it, but I still think it's an important aspect of the game.
I think my argument there would be that, you could get Mo Farah on. He can run all day, but, he's not exactly going to, do anything on the pitch, is he? So,
it's a great show.
With Sears, he's a bit like that. You know what I mean? So, Sears is a lot faster, I'd probably say, than Mo Farah. But, other than that, I don't see what he offers anymore. I just don't see what he offers anymore. I think he's lost that killer sort of instinct as well as a striker.
You say that, but Usain Bolt apparently did like a tweet this morning. So, I mean, who's to know? that's wide of the mark. But
multiple managers still play him. He's not one of these forgotten boys. We've gone through a lot of managers, and he still gets on the pitch. So he's bringing something. We can all agree or disagree on what that is, but he still gets minutes on the pitch, and
he does.
That is, that says something.
But tactically, if you're going to play a winger, you'd have Edwards. If you're going to play a striker, you'd have Jackson. Yeah. I mean, somebody in the chat has mentioned Ward, and I think that's a very good point, because you don't necessarily need two defenders on the bench. But would it be Ward or would it be Wolfenden? Because Wolfenden's more of a central stroke right-sided player, where you've got that in Chambers, so you've already got that on the pitch, and Wilson can play right back. We saw that in pre-season for I think a 45. So I don't know. There is room there. I think Sears probably wins it. Kelly wants to know if I've been moonlighting as an Uber Eats driver. No, I can confirm I have not. No. 5 minutes to the game. Parrott. Ben touched on Parrott there, Mark. He wants a goal from him. I want a goal from him. What do you want from Parrott today? Just hard work, or would you like to see a reward with a goal?
Yeah, I think obviously he's been playing well since he's come in, and I think he deserves a goal. I think he links play quite nicely, and just behind Norwood, I think that sort of suits him as well. So yeah, I'd like to see him get his reward with a goal. I agree. I think that might come today as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's worked really hard, Ben. He's I wouldn't say he's put the team on his back, but with Norwood, the pair of them have really turned us around in the last week and a bit.
Yeah, I make the point every week, so you don't have to be getting loads of goals to be a good striker, although ultimately that's what you're judged on as a striker. But as saying, I love a player that complements another player. So he brings out the best in Norwood. He brings the whole movement of the game up towards him. And look, Norwood's scoring game after game now. And that's something even I didn't think he would do. Okay, he misses a lot of sitters, but there's generally a goal a game, and that's good for a striker. That's only been happening since he's had a partner, and that partner's been Parrott. So if Parrott doesn't score a goal for the rest of the season, or any goal for the rest of the season, but he allows Norwood to score goals, that's great for me. He's got to start every game.
Got to be more clinical, though, James Norwood, for me, Mark. He's just not clinical enough. And I know he's a third-tier player, and people will say, well, he plays for Ipswich Town in the third tier, and that's a fair enough point. But I want more from him. I want him to be... He's played really well, not to say he hasn't, but I just want more clinical finishing from him.
Yeah, I think the other night, obviously, he could have had a hat-trick before half-time, really.
100%.
And that's not that's not including his actual goal that he got. So, he does need to score goals. He needs to, finish his chances a little bit more. He does need to be more clinical. But, I'll keep saying, and I think it's an unpopular opinion, but I think he's our best striker at the club by an absolute country mile. Because he's got everything, and he just gives you everything as well. And this formation suits him, I think. And as with Parrott as well, I think that really complements him really well.
Yeah, big game for Miles Kenlock today. Very quickly to touch on that. Graham, who has been in fine form for Gillingham, Ben, up against him. You could see Graham, of course, switch swings at some point. If I was Evans...
God, I hope not.
Well, exactly. If I was Evans, I'd be looking to get Graham up against Chambers. Because
Graham is a cracking player. But look, if he's up against Kenlock, he's up against a cracking defender. Let's put that one out there. Let's now say it's not about us absorbing other people who are going to destroy us. Let him get past Kenlock. Kenlock's in the best form of his career. He has been my man of the match for 2 or 3 games. He's been absolutely fantastic. So I'd say, look, if you think you're that good, okay, go against Kenlock. Let's see how good you are, because I've got faith in Kenlock.
That's my fear, though, Mark. first half hour he is, and he gets nullified, and then he moves over to Chambers, and it's Cameron Stewart away at Leeds all over again.
Game over, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it just depends how they set up, really. But obviously Graham's been very good for them this season. He scored quite a few goals as well. So shame he couldn't provide that when he was with us over 2 spells. But
yes,
Sullivan. But yeah. So that was I think it would be different. Obviously with Chambers if he's up against Chambers on the right as well. So hopefully we could just nullify it.
Okay, right. Plans coming out. So bold predictions time. Before we do, we are closing in on our 2,000 subscribers target. So we're doing really well. If you're not yet done so, please hit subscribe. There's exclusive stuff coming, and there's some giveaways. I've got some fantastic prizes over there to give away, so I can't wait. However, let's do it. Bold predictions time. You go first, please, Mark. What is your bold prediction for today?
Bold prediction, probably 3-1. I'll probably say Parrott to get a goal and Norwood to get 2.
Matt Stannard, the legend that is, 3-1. Louis Sharp, 3-1. There's a lot of 3-1s here. Josh Russell's gone 4-0. Mike Brown's gone 3-0. Has he been on the sauce already?
Mike. Love it.
Oh, no. Chris Blake, 3-2. Welcome in, Blakey. Tweedy, 5-2. Ben, how about yourself? 1-1, Daniel Barnard. Behave yourself, Dan.
I've got to go with Matt Stannard. I've got to go with Louis Sharp. I think it's going to be 3-1 today. Mike D, 3-1. A lot of agreeing there. Anthony Steele. It's 3-1. I think we've got a goal to concede in us. I think it will come through Chambers if Graham switches. But I think we are in a good run of form. I think we're going to get a couple. And I think Parrott's going to score one on the end as the cherry on the top.
Okay, Kev Sherwood's gone 6-0. Perfect way to end the bold predictions. Thank you all to watch. We will see you at half time for more from us. Hopefully, pints and points. See you then.